Welcome, friends. Today, we're doing another fragrance rotation video for the week ending the 14th of April, 2024. Marvellous. That is right, my friends. Once again, I have returned to you, this time with another fragrance rotation video. And this past week, I am sorry to report, I have been very unwell. Well, I've certainly felt very unwell. I had one of the sorest throats I've ever had. Which doesn't sound like much, but the pain was quite intense. And I had to draft in more painkillers than I usually take, which is a fucking mind-boggling experience, but it's over now, thank God. Also, this week I went and met Alan Hansen, and it was lovely. Him and Wes, and we went to Leeds, which isn't lovely, but not to worry. There isn't a lot of perfume in Leeds, but there is a lot of Greggs, so, swings and roundabouts. But I had a great time. The drive down was lovely. The drive back up was lovely. I finished my book in the car. What? My audio book, I should say. And it was nice. It's been up and down, But I'm glad that all these things have happened, and I'm certainly glad that the chill is over. The virus I had, which concentrated itself in my right tonsil. Bizarre. Anyway, bollocks to that. We shall get into the fragrance rotation. And on Monday I wore, not for the first time this year, and certainly not for the last time this year, because I am enjoying this stuff a lot. This is Success by Mode Creation München, or Munich to the English speakers. This is honey and oak moss, and it's one of those vintage 80s honey, pissy kind of vibes. It is fantastic. A hugely underexposed fragrance from an underexposed brand. Not sure what prices are like, but they used to be pretty cheap. If I remember from one of Varanus Radari's videos, I remember mentioning something about MCM and backpacks, but don't quote us on that. I'm sure he's got a video on the brand, which is well worth a watch. So yes, this is honey. It is tobacco. It's got some kind of orange citrus kind of thing going on. So it could actually be orange, or it could be like lemon and bergamot and that kind of thing, but with mixing with the honey to give this orange kind of vibe. It's not quite as ambery as something like, say, Zoo as bee by zoologist. Zoo by biologist? No, that's not right. Anyway, vetiver, patchouli, honey, oak moss, big oak moss note in this. Got a little bit of that. You know how honey's sweet, but it's also got a little bit of sourness to it, a little bit of, depending on what they've been feeding off. There's a little bit of wood in there, a little bit ambery, fabulous fragrance, absolutely fantastic. Noosh had some, and so I bought a few because I really rated it. I thought it was very nice. I know I actually prefer this to the Givenchy Gentleman of 10 years previously. This is a fantastic release, and I would recommend that you try, if you can, and find it. Shouldn't be too expensive, I don't think, anyway. Okay, next up, I wore something completely different, and this is Hemingway by Mask Milano. I'm going to be honest, when I first put this on, for the first few hours of wearing it, I was pretty disappointed. I thought, this is so average. It's got this kind of sour opening kind of thing going on, and then a lot of vetiver. There's not a great deal of complexity or movement, but then in the dry down it becomes quite nice. There's a bit of smokiness, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of mintiness. It does, it becomes rather nice, but I'm not sure it's worth going through that first hour or two to get there, to be honest with you. I didn't pay very much for this. If I paid for it at all, I know I got it off Peter from Fragrance View, but I can't remember if I paid for it. I think I did, but not a lot of money. Anyway, that's Hemingway. It's not... And Guerlain's vetiver remains undefeated, which is remarkable after 70 years, for a straight-up vetiver fragrance. Next up on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I wore 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain Eau de Toilette by Diptyque. This is one of Olivier Peuchot's masterpieces, if not his best fragrance. Certainly to me. It's got a little bit of blackcurrant at the top. It's got vanilla. It's got patchouli. It's got cinnamon. It's a little bit ambery. It's a little bit fresh, but a little bit warm at the same time. This is fantastic stuff. Absolutely lovely. They do a candle of it as well, would you believe? And it's got the stem is covered in like a wick, a wick, if you will. And it's a beautiful fragrance. It lasts 8 hours, and the top, the middle, and the dry down are all absolutely lovely. A lot of the fragrances accredited to Olivier Peuchot just don't really get there. They don't really do much for me. But this stuff is fantastic. You could wear this as a signature scent if you wanted to smell different from the crowd, but you also just wanted something that wasn't too expensive but was quality and smelled really pleasant. You're not going to find anyone who says this is unpleasant, The fantastic fragrance. Okay, next up on Thursday. Thursday is the day I visited Alan Hansen and went to Leeds, and so I wanted to smell better than everyone else in Leeds, and I did, maybe with the exception of Alan and Wes. This is Dior Homme Silver Stem. I actually took this bottle with me. It's a well-travelled bottle, this. As you can see, the juice is getting rather low. I intend to polish this off sooner rather than later. That and Iris Nazarena. So this is one of the best fragrances of the 2000s. I've opined a lot on this. I think this is the best iteration of said fragrance as well. Lavender is much more present in this one. The sage, and then you've obviously got the iris and the cacao, and that little bit of leather in the base too, with some cardamom. The thing is with this, you can smell all of the different ingredients, but it's still a coherent perfume, and not a lot of perfumers can do that trick. But Olivier Polge, who made that trick possible, because he is fantastic and doing really well. Anyway, next up on Friday, I wore my big unit of Vetiver Tonka. Vetiver Tonka by Hermes. One of Jean-Claude Elaine's finest, in my opinion. He is the man who creates space in perfumes. If Olivier Polge creates very densely packed and tight perfumes, Jean-Claude Elaine creates this illusion of space, while still maintaining a structure. This is Vetiver and Tonka with like a hazelnut praline type thing in the middle to like keep them bolted to each other. little flecks of other things in there as well, just to like keep you interested. But to be honest, it really is just vetiver and tonka. But it's fabulous and it's brilliantly done. And I love the bottles. I love these big 200ml bottles. I'll be devastated when this goes. I actually tried to find a backup, would you believe? Because the thing is with this and the Dior Privé bottles, right? These big Privé designer exclusive line bottles, right, is that when they're 200ml and they've got good sprayers like these, you just want to, you're lured into a false sense of security. You end up putting like 20 sprays on. And you can't really overpower with this stuff. It's hard to overpower with any of the Hermes Essence, to be honest. So this is a beautiful green, warm, fresh, slightly jarring, ever so slightly, but also coherent perfume. Try it if you haven't. It's very easily accessible. It's probably the most famous or popular of the Hermes Essence, and with good reason. It was one of the first as well. It's a beautiful fragrance. I can't imagine what it was like in 2004 when all these houses like Dior and Hermes started coming out with their designer exclusive lines. It must have been amazing to be a perfume addict at that time. Next up we have something not entirely different from Vetiver Tonka, actually, and this is French Lover. To me, this is green galbanum. Angelica, irisy, a little bit kind of musky. It's a beautiful perfume. I've found this to be an easy wear green, you know? Like an easy wearing green fragrance. Green fragrances are starting to come back into fashion. And when this was released, green fragrances were as far out of fashion as you can go before you start coming back. One of the original Mâles, I believe, made by Pierre Bourdon, one of his favourite perfumers, who he's worked with a few times, I think. But apparently Jean-Claude Elena was the one who made this. And Pierre Bourdon had to sign off on it because Jean-Claude Elena signed with Hermes. Such as the murky and weird workings of the fragrance industry, which really needs a light shining in so they can clean themselves up. It's a very weird place where all sorts of shenanigans happen, is it not? But this is a fabulous fragrance. A little bit of incense in there as well, I think, you know, just to make it spiky. Just get this little bit of poke about it. Anyway, on to today's scent of the day. I will reapply. There is a dog doing a howl next door. It is a husky. Next up, and last up, is my first time wearing this year, and it is Cologne Aficionale, one of the top finds of last year. I have a video doing my top 10 fragrances that I picked up last year, and this is certainly one of them. It is French soap, it is rosemary, it is basil, lavender, galbanum. It's dry, big, huge fuck-off oak moss fragrance, and a modern, dry, starchy. It's definitely got this kind of starchiness, you know, like when you're ironing a white shirt kind of thing, and you walk into a room where someone's ironing and you're like, ugh, you can't breathe, like it catches the back of your throat. And you're like, ugh, what is that dryness? It's this. It's probably not this, to be fair, but if it was, I wouldn't be upset. Slightly sour as well, you know, very dry, beautifully clean. It's just an amazing perfume. A little bit higgledy-piggledy in the opening. A lot happens in the opening, and then it sort of mellows out and becomes a very, very, very handsome perfume. It really is really, really good. And yes, that seems to be it, my friends. This has been my fragrance rotation for another week. And what a week it has been. Hopefully I will be able to do some live streams soon. And I will see you all then. Thanks very much. Bye.